I'll let you know before you try to go. Now this is my own show. Not a script or flip could make me stop, so just behave. I mean, there's no escape. Let's hope you make that drop, because you really don't want to take me off. And oh, what fun. I will tell you what to do and you will get it done. And oh, don't run. You'll find your nightmare here has only just begun. Welcome to my horror show. Now it's starting 3D. Oh, I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. Are you reading the walls? Did you get my clues? There's a debt to repay for now. You'll do.
Welcome listeners to this, our 5th episode in the Comedy of Horrors canon. In this podcast we aim to interrupt the everyday and invite you to spend some time listening to us talk about movies, a little bit of music and other ponderings of life. We will always endeavour to deliver straight to your ears some interesting insights into one movie each week. Today we're reviewing Candyman, for which I'm very excited. Of course, in addition to the usual bits and pieces, we'll have another 2 tracks for you to vote on, and I'll be posing a question to Joe at the end of the show as always. So another week in isolation. Joseph Stalin, how are you?
I'm sensational. How are you?
Are you really sensational? Because I'm sensing a tone in the voice already.
You know what I'm riled up about.
It's not because I called you Joseph Stalin, is it? You're not offended by that?
It takes a lot to offend me. I mean, your hair, maybe, but...
Come on then, Rainy Face. You're obviously upset about something. Let's talk about it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm upset about is Skype. I said to you last week, I said, right, install Zoom. We'll use Zoom to do these calls because it's more reliable. It's better. Everything about it is better than Skype. Anyway, you couldn't get your head around that. So we're still on Skype. And I say, right, I will ring you now. So I try to ring you and you ring me and then it crashes. And then the icing on the cake is I hit record to try and record this and it crashes. So I have to restart Skype for the 10th time in a minute.
So the rage is, let's just establish, it's not pointed in my direction.
It's blowing in your direction, I think.
Oh, so there's a breeze coming through the window of rage and some of it's hitting my face. Is that what you're saying?
I'm cool now. I mean, it's working again now, so I'm fine again now. I've had a sip of water.
You've rinsed the sand away from various places. It's obviously irritating you and you're able now to move on. Is there something deeper at play here, Joe?
No, there was one thing that happened. I got told off by staff in Aldi the other day.
Please do go ahead. Regale us all with this tale.
So I went to Aldi just to do my shop. I was expecting to queue before you go in. That's usually the deal. But no, straight in.
Whoa. Even you had to queue?
Yeah, I know.
Do they not know who you are?
No.
Well, if you go in without the baseball cap on, they'll see the hair and they'll know. There's a separate entrance for baboons. Carry on.
Anyway, yeah, so I was walking in, did my shop and all that. Anyway, I got to the end of the aisle and the lady on the till shouted, "Till 3, next." So I approached the till and she shouted at me, "Oi, there's a queue in the other aisle. Now get in that queue." So then I proceeded to walk past everyone who thought I was trying to queue jump and then just rejoin the back of the queue. When I got to the front of the queue, it was the lady that bollocked me who served me. She was frosty with me.
I bet you felt like a naughty schoolboy being told off by the headmistress.
Yeah, I did get the last laugh because when she said cash or card, I waited about 5-6 seconds as if I didn't hear her. And then she said it again really aggressively.
And then you said, "Neither, actually. I want to pay in kind. See ya."
That's what's happened with me this week, or past few days. What's been going on with the Nikolai?
I've been just cracking on, doing my work and bits and pieces. I had a bit of an incident with my TV the other day. Got out my old consoles from back in the day. Thought I'm at home a lot more now. I've got more time on my hands. So went up to the attic, brought down what I thought was all my bits and pieces, came downstairs, laid it all out, missing the key cable that goes from the TV to the console. Went back up into the attic after already packing away the ladder and everything, back up into the attic, came downstairs again, couldn't find the cable, found another console, plugged that one in, that didn't work. Then went back into the attic because I knew I had a different console, a Wii, hidden up there somewhere, so I thought I'll go and get that. Came down and realised I didn't have the cable that I needed for that either. By the end of it, I was a sweaty mess and didn't fancy playing the Guitar Hero anyway.
The moral of that story is be more organised and make sure you put the wires in a place where you remember.
Life lessons from Joe. Always valuable. Thank you. And to be fair, this has a happy ending. I decided that actually there was limitations with the TV that we've got. So on the plus side, we have a new TV coming on Saturday, so I will be able to play Guitar Heroes on larger inchage, which I'm very excited about.
I remember years and years ago on one of our drunken messy nights when I'd come down to Norwich, I'm sure we played SingStar, was it called?
Oh yeah, love a bit of SingStar.
I definitely bossed that.
What was your track of choice? Was it Dancing Queen by ABBA by any chance?
More than likely, I am an ABBA fan.
Or maybe it was something 90s. Maybe it was a bit of Bewitched.
Oh, I think if 5 Keep On Moving's on there, it would have definitely been on that. Get on up, get down. Baby, take a good old look around.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I was going to say I don't think we even need to do our track off today with that rendition. Joe, you've been working out a little bit more recently, haven't you, at home?
Yeah, past couple of days I've started working out more. I thought it'd be funny for me and for you to try and encourage you to work out and not just go up and down to the attic, to record these little workouts and send them to you.
And I think they are good, and I do appreciate them, but I can't help now when I watch them but look at you and think you're showing me your sex face, and I don't know how I feel about it, and there's grunting involved as well. Joe, you're definitely a candidate for sexualizing your workouts.
Joe Wicks, watch out.
If you're willing to do that for your art, then I commend you, but I think you'd probably just do it for a packet of sweets, to be honest. And that's quite a nice little segue into the movie that we're going to be reviewing today, which is Candyman. Are you ready to talk about this film, Joe?
I was born ready.
So Candyman, written and directed by Bernard Rose, released in 1992. Candyman was adapted from the short story The Forbidden from Clive Barker's Books of Blood, 1984. The movie follows Helen Lyle, a semiotics student in Chicago who decides to base her thesis on urban legends. During her research, she hears about the Candyman legend, a murderer with a hook for a hand who can be summoned by saying his name 5 times in a mirror. He is then rumored to appear behind you, breathing down your neck. Following a recent brutal killing of a lady lived at the notorious Cabrini Green housing projects, Helen decides to investigate the possible link to this and similar murders who the locals attribute to the Candyman. Tempting fate, Helen decides to try the ritual for herself, and the consequences will change her life forever. Here is a trailer. Enjoy.
Have you ever heard of Candyman? If you look in the mirror, you say his name 5 times.
In cities everywhere,
Candyman?
they whisper his name.
Right. Candyman.
It's just a story.
Candyman?
Candyman.
Just a ghost story.
Candyman.
An entire community starts attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death. Poor Candyman.
Helen, a woman died in there. Leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
Bring it up. It ain't safe around here.
I don't scare too easy.
Don't know about Ruthie Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him.
Who?
Candyman.
Who is that?
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Now, she is about to discover
Helen? Get out! Get out!
what's behind the mystery.
I'm sick.
What's behind the legend.
Listen, he's under the bed!
And most terrifying of all,
Come with me.
what's behind the mirror.
He's here.
Candyman. You don't have to believe. Just beware.
Yeah, so what do you think of the trailer, first of all, Joe?
Candyman, 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 Candyman. Say the last one.
I don't know if I can, because we're looking at a screen at the moment, so it's almost like looking at a mirror. I can see myself and I can see you. So that was actually going to be one of my questions to you, is would you actually try this ritual in real life?
No, I'll be too scared to.
Would you?
Yeah, I first watched this film when I was probably about 11 or 12. I went to a second-hand store and saw the video, and just because it was an 18, I bought it. It was about 99p. And I watched this video. I remember being petrified of this, but I didn't really get what was going on. So the video just went in a box, and that was the end of that. So, yeah, I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, looking at this in a new light. And I really enjoyed it. And it did make me jump on numerous occasions.
Absolutely. And would it be a movie that you'd say you'd revisit, you'd go back and watch again now that you own it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, of course I would. Yeah, it's just a typical horror that's got a good story behind it. And I mean, Clive Barker said, I just wanted to scare the hell out of people. And congratulations, he did. It scares you. Yeah, ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, agreed. But I think the adaptation is awesome, and I think what the director's done in writing and directing it has done a great job in adapting this story to something that is original and awesome. It's less of a horror in the traditional sense. There's lots of things about this movie that make it unique, and there's a few jump scares in it which just help to jolt you and keep you on edge the whole time. I think the opening of the movie is great with the overhead shot that they've got of Chicago, where you see all the cars on the freeway, and you've got this really sort of slow building theme, the Candyman music, which was done by Philip Glass, and the freeways and all the cars that are on the freeways are almost drone-like, which is then perfectly juxtaposed with the drone bees that we see in the next scene. And that's when we first hear that amazing penetrating voice of the Candyman, played by Tony Todd in a career-defining role. And this whole opening section for me just sets a foreboding tone that the movie then has to live up to. So let's just take a listen to that bit just so you can hear it, because it's just beautifully done with his voice.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding? With my hook for a hand, I'll split you from your groin to your gullet.
So yeah, Joe, I mean, how awesome is that guy's voice, and how awesome is the way that the voice is used in this movie?
Very, very clever. It's just, he says a few words and it puts a shiver down your spine. It's very, very cool.
What an impact that voice has. It's just so well used throughout the film. Every time you hear it, you just have to stand and give it attention. Not literally stand, just give it attention. But what did you think, Joe?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, he says a few words and it puts a chill down your spine. And I think it was really well done, considering the film was early 90s. It was used really well. And I thought the opening scene as well, with, like you said before, with the cars going down, that reminded me of the early Grand Theft Auto games, you know, like Grand Theft Auto 1, 2 and 3 reminded me of them.
Yeah, really, really simply done, but just really effective at the same time. Can't really talk about this movie without talking about Virginia Madsen, who plays Helen Lyle. Virginia Madsen, who has been in a couple of movies, but this is by far her most recognizable character that she's played. Do you know who her brother is, Joe?
No, I don't.
Her brother is Michael Madsen, who is Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs and Bud in Kill Bill, and great actor. So talented siblings. But what did you think of her as the choice for the lead? Do you think she was the right choice?
I thought she was the right choice, because the film is pretty much all about her. Really, all right, there's the Candyman part of it, but the film is her, and I think, yeah, she played it really well, and she was a bit of a fox as well, which added to it as well.
Yeah, she was absolutely stunning. And did you know that there was an alternate lead role potential in the pipeline?
No.
And the part of Helen could potentially have gone to Sandra Bullock. She was under consideration. And for Candyman, guess who was considered as a potential for Candyman? Eddie Murphy.
Oh, no, I couldn't picture that for 1 second. He's too much of a joker.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him play a serious role. I wouldn't anymore because he can't act for love and more money. But I'd love to see him in a serious role. But he, being only 5'9", the makers of the movie thought that Tony Todd's 6'5" figure was a lot more imposing, a lot more terrifying.
Yeah,
I think Axel Foley coming up to you with a hook for a hand's less intimidating than the Candyman, right?
But there was clever things though, like his whole outfit was cool, because there was like these fur cuffs on his outfit, and I thought it was quite gruesome and eerie, where there was like old stale blood throughout the film just on his cuffs. I know it's only a little thing, but I think little things like that in the film really made it.
I think the hook for the hand thing is very well done, and rather than being a hook for the hand like something like Dustin Hoffman in Hook, which is obviously a comedy hook, it doesn't look painful at all. This one is absolutely brutal. You've got nails hammered into a bloody stump on the end of his wrist, where his hand was chopped off. And it's one of those, it's a wound that never seems to heal. Obviously it happened a long time ago, but because of the fact that he is rumor, he is legend, that wound will never heal. Yeah, it's very well done. Sub question, Joe. Best single hand person in a movie or false hand in a movie? Go.
I'd say it's probably one of the best ones. I'll be honest, I don't really know many with the false hands and that apart from Hook.
Well, let's take Hook as read. I've got a classic. Have you seen Inner Space?
No.
Oh, have you not?
So the one you've got that you thought I would know, I wouldn't know because I've not seen the film.
Oh, it's a great film. You have to watch it. It's got Dennis Quaid, Martin Short, Meg Ryan. It's absolutely awesome. And you might have seen it as a kid, but you didn't realize what it was called. But it's essentially a guy gets miniaturized and injected into another guy, but he's not supposed to be injected into a human. He's supposed to be injected into a rabbit. Anyway, long story short, there's a character in that called Mr. Igo who has a fake hand, and amongst its tools that he can unscrew it, put on different ones. He's got a blowtorch that goes on there, and he's got a pointing finger that shoots a bullet out of it as well, which is very cool.
Yeah, I've just got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids now for some reason in my head.
Oh, no. This is far superior to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, trust me. And it's got a great soundtrack as well. A bit of Sam Cooke on there. Oh, yeah, it's brilliant. Thoroughly recommend it. And that's something that potentially in future series that we can do when we're not doing just horrors, we can have a little look at.
The genres.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a sort of sneak peek to the listener as well that we will be doing various series moving forward. As long as there's an appetite for listening to Joe and I ramble on about movies and stuff, then we'll be bringing you other genres in the future also. You kind of mentioned the sort of the impact of Tony Todd's voice and stuff. There's another section as well where he meets her in a car park and he essentially is talking to her about her doubting the legend. There's a very, very key moment in the movie where they first lay eyes on each other and you can see that she is just completely overwhelmed by it. But let's just hear a little clip, then we'll discuss it.
Who is that?
Helen, I came for you.
Do I know you?
No. But you doubted me.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
No need to leave yet.
But I'm late.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come.
So, Joe, this is the bit that we talked about before recording, that we thought this was just an awesome moment in the movie. And what are your thoughts on it?
Brilliant. It's a turning point in the film as well. It's because Helen is trying to find logic around the myth of Candyman. And Candyman is really upset by this. And he's appeared and Helen sees him and he's like, so you don't believe in me then? What's your deal? And Helen's like, what's going on? Am I dreaming this? And then it goes on from there.
It's like that he, at that point, with anyone else that tries the Candyman legend, essentially they will just be killed. They'll be slit from groin to sternum. But with her, he has an overwhelming interest in her. He wants to own her more than just kill her. And this theme kind of continues as he gets more and more obsessed with her as the movie goes on. At any point, he could kill her, but that's not what he wants. He actually wants to own her soul, essentially. It goes deeper and deeper than that. And any time that she's with him, she's completely hypnotized by him and under his spell. In order to achieve that, they actually had Virginia Madsen hypnotized, and she was given a trigger word that the director could say at any time that would essentially put her into a trance-like state. So she would appear to be completely bewitched, and you can see it in her eyes. She completely changes.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So many great moments in this movie. The director doesn't hold back on the blood and gore on screen at all. At one point, Helen is practically swimming in blood. I think that's the first time that the Candyman essentially is when he frames her for the first murder and kidnap of the baby. Joe, do you want to kind of describe this scene?
So Helen wakes up and she's just lying there on the floor in the bathroom covered in blood. She gets up all bewildered, like, ooh, what's going on here? Walks through. There's a dog's head cut off, just left there in the floor, rolling about. And there's a lady screaming, where's my baby? Her baby's gone missing. And she then goes to Helen. Helen's like, what you on about? And then goes to attack Helen because she thinks Helen's killed the dog and taken the baby. And then next thing, police kick the door in. Helen's arrested.
Yeah, and again, what a great deviation from what you would expect to have happen. the idea of him framing her for that, and then he uses that baby as bait essentially later in the movie to help bend Helen to his will.
I also thought what was quite a good thing was Helen's relationship with, was it Roger, his name?
Trevor.
Trevor, that's it. I knew it was something like that.
Oh, it's gold.
I hated Trevor. You knew from the opening scene with Trevor that he was a scumbag. You knew it.
What an idiot to be cheating on Virginia Madsen anyway in the first place. What an absolute tool. So well played by Xander. Oh, what's his name? Xander Berkeley, I think. Just awesome. He plays that smarmy character perfectly. So I've got to give kudos to that. You mentioned earlier as well about Helen's best friend, Bernadette. I was thinking when I was watching this that the dynamic was quite similar to Silence of the Lambs, when Clarice and her friend or fellow trainee person, Ardelia, just seemed quite similar. But then if you look closer, it's not just similar, it is the same best friend.
Yeah.
So the actress Casey Lemons plays the best friend in both of these awesome classic horror films, which I think is awesome. What a great legacy for that actress to play those characters.
Yeah, 2 amazing films, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Can I just touch on, I've not seen any. Have you seen any of the other Candyman films have made? Because to me personally, I think the original Candyman 1992 with Tony Todd is an open closed. That's it. There's no sequel you can make to it in my mind.
Yeah, it'd be completely wrong to, but no, I too have not. I think I've watched some of number 2 many years ago, but I watched it almost on fast forward to see if I could see anything decent coming up, and I certainly didn't. So yeah, I'm not really interested. Obviously there's a reimagining happening at the moment, which depending on release dates and what's going on in the world at the moment may or may not be released at some point this year. We don't know, but we'll see what they do with that. I think that's got an opportunity to be good, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably got opportunity to be good. But then again, Tony Todd, he's a lot older. He's getting on. It's 30 odd years since he originally did it, getting on for 30 years.
I think this one is going to be passing the torch very much to a new Candyman villain.
So then essentially we're just going to have a whole another 10 films of Candyman.
Well, if they can do them half as good as this, then I'll be more than happy. So a few other little sort of bits and pieces that quite interesting and lend a bit of sort of gravity to what's behind the movie. Did you know there was actually a serial killer back in the 70s called Candyman?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah. So back in 1970s, this guy used to tempt children into his house using candy from his family store. The press nicknamed him the Candyman. And it's quite interesting because obviously Candyman uses bait to bait Helen, and the bait he uses in this case is a baby as opposed to candy, but unfortunately it's a terrible thing when you can't resist the bait. The part of Candyman, obviously expertly played by Tony Todd, it's a really sad part, I think. If you look at the life and what Candyman went through and why he was butchered in the first place, for falling in love with a woman that was outside of his class and race, and being given the punishment of having your hand sawn off with a rusty blade and smothered in honey and having loads of bees feed on you and stuff till you die. It's pretty dark, considering all he wanted to do is be with a woman he loves. And I think that's why he comes across almost as a sympathetic character, which is difficult to reconcile given the horrific acts he commits.
How cool was it with the bees though?
Bees, very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know how many times he got stung making these movies?
Hundreds of times.
Have a guess how many?
I'd say 500-600 times.
Okay, so over 3 movies, he was only stung 23 times.
Okay, I'm guessing maybe in the hundreds it had probably killed him off, to be fair.
I think it would have been a lot more serious. Plus, it would have cost him a fortune because he actually had it written into his contract that for every bee sting, he would earn an extra $1,000 on his fee. But I'd be like, yeah, okay, well, I was stung again. You just can't see it. It's not swollen up yet. Actually, I was stung 300 times. I'll take that. But the bees that they used in this movie, they bred specifically for the film, and they were only 12 hours old. They still look like mature bees, but their stingers couldn't do much damage.
Which is very understandable, and it was very cool with the bees when Candyman takes Helen under his wing and he kisses her with all the bees coming out of his mouth, and then she wakes up and she's like, oh, there's no bees, and she's like, oh, rubbing her head and everything. Oh, it gives you that. Oh, it made me. I was scratching myself for hours after it. I couldn't even sleep with the window open that night because I thought a bee was going to attack me. Candyman is just looking into Helen's head, and that's what's so cool about it, because there's not many films where they've really done that. The whole film pretty much is what's going on in someone's make-believe.
It is and it isn't. That's the danger of this kind of figure, I think, because obviously the murders are happening, but no one else can see it, and that's the difficult thing. It's interestingly, actually, the theme of being tormented by a figure that only the lead female protagonist can see or is aware of is the most recent reimagining of The Invisible Man. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen The Invisible Man.
Get involved. It's a good film, and you can see that there's clear influences from Candyman in this movie. Great performance by the lead actress Elizabeth Moss. I would thoroughly recommend it, but it's a similar theme where kind of no one really believes her that this guy is invisible and these horrible things can be attributed to him, but you know, she knows otherwise. It's a great film. You should give it a watch.
Yeah, definitely. I'll give it a look.
Other aspects as well to look at: Cabrini Green, where the movie was filmed, part of it anyway, was a real housing project. At the time of filming, it was under the control of gang members, and to ensure the safety of cast and crew, the producers had to make a deal so that they put some of these gangster guys in the movie as extras. Pretty mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Crazy.
One more thing really I want to say about this before we move on is the ending of the movie. We're not going to give anything away, but the moral lesson at the end of the film, when Trevor is sitting in the bathroom and his replacement for Helen is trying to engage with him, get him to come and help make dinner with her. The look of utter regret is portrayed with such delicacy and pathos. He looks back at what he had, what he lost, and just as the movie looks to conclude, something else happens, both awful and satisfying in equal measure. I'm going to conclude my bit on the movie, Jonas. You got anything else you want to say?
No, it's I don't want to give anything away in the film because there's so much I want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it because it may give something away, and I'd hate to ruin it for people that haven't seen the film. So great film, yeah.
Good man. Okay, so in conclusion, Candyman for me is a tragic romance taking place on a separate plane of consciousness in a whimsical, dreamlike world where myths and legends cross over to affect the real world. The story is about love, obsession, fantasy, and the power of rumor and legend to influence our daily lives, sometimes with horrific consequences. When Candyman speaks to Helen, he does so in a seductive way as opposed to aggressive. He wants to own her and is willing to leave her no choice but to succumb to his torment. Even in the face of insurmountable odds, where the world looking in at her has condemned her as insane, Helen fights to save the baby that Candyman is holding as bait for her. Virginia Madsen plays this part so well, her strength and determination never waning. The villain here isn't tangible in the way that Mike Myers or Leatherface are. This makes the character more dangerous and frightening, and when you personify a rumor, almost anything is possible. The film is intelligent, brutal, and surprising, and will leave a truly indelible impression on the viewer and deserves to endure as an extremely worthy entry to the genre. So in conclusion, Joe, who owned the movie for you?
Virginia Madsen, without a doubt.
Fantastic. I thought you might go with Tony Todd. I thought you might go with Candyman. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because you don't usually get a strong female lead in films like that as strong as what she is. It's normally the character she was portraying is normally played by, especially back then, by males.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Congratulations, Virginia Madsen. What an awesome performance, and you own the movie. One thing I was thinking about, Joe, is rather than having our ratings done out of 5, I think we should notch it up to out of 8, because there's so much diversity, and a lot of these movies that we're doing are going to be gold, but I think there's got to be some wiggle room, a spectrum of 1 to 8. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I will give this a comedy of horrors rating of 7.
And I will agree with you 100%. 7 out of 8. Just awesome. All I'll say to the listeners, if you haven't seen it, buy it. It's worth it.
Get on eBay. I got it off eBay for £1.98, and that was a collector's edition. Get it off there.
Or just buy it off Joe, because he's got a copy. So
who said I'm selling it?
Everything's for sale, Joe.
Not in my world, it's not.
Okay, so moving on. Song of the week. Joe, what have you got for me in your track choice this week?
Okay, so mine's kind of from the film because I loved Helen's theme. It's Always You / theme. So I've dug out a remix of this theme, and it's by, I hope I say his name right here, Frabalex, and it's called It's Always You Remix.
thank you, Joe. Thank you very much for that. I have gone slightly different pace again. Seems to be no rules when it comes to these track-offs nowadays, but I think we just go rogue then, giving ourselves the best chance of winning this head-to-head battle. Song for this week I've chosen is by Nine Giants, and it's called Monster Mouth. I first heard this put to a video of clips from Dexter back in the day when Dexter was really good, and I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you think, listener and Joe. Here it is.
It's an all-night disco slide. I'm giving it time and bleed. She's an empty cocktail, fill her up and hit the side. Bang! Knocking on the front door for